I'm David Ashley. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of your Wildcat News.
And I'm Katie Hall. A school-wide blood drive is happening this week at UK. The Kentucky Blood Center is asking for donations due to an increase in demand. The center is the sole provider of blood products for all UK healthcare and 70 other hospitals around the state. Donors will receive a free t-shirt and Starbucks gift card after their donation.
In related news, Be the Match was on campus this week to register students as bone marrow donors. Wildcat mascot number 1 was on hand to get people excited. This drive was in honor of Hudson Pace, a patient who found a donor through the Be the Match program. The nonprofit helps those between 18 and 40 register to be donors. Be the Match and the UK Markey Cancer Center set a goal to add 800 students to the registry. They got 842.
The Transylvania women's basketball team here in Lexington finished a historic season last Saturday in Dallas. The team completed their undefeated season going 33-0 by winning the Division III National Championship. Senior guard Madison Calleone led the team with 17 points and 7 rebounds. Transylvania beat Christopher Newport 57-52. This is the team's first ever national championship. In other news around Kentucky, Governor Andy Beshear passed Senate Bill 9, or the Lofton Bill, last week. This bill criminalizes hazing and makes it a Class D felony to inflict or engage in hazing that results in the death or injury of a minor or student. The offense is now worth 5 years in prison. A misdemeanor of reckless engagement can result up to a year in prison.
Governor Beshear also passed House Bill 551 on Friday to legalize sports betting. Before the bill, Kentuckians could only bet on horse races and online lottery or fantasy leagues. Now they could bet on any college and pro sports. The estimated revenue for the state is $23 million a year. Kentucky is the 38th state to legalize sports betting. The bill will take place in June. Finally, Governor Beshear signed yet another historic bill on Friday. Senate Bill 47 legalizes the use of medical marijuana in Kentucky. Starting in 2025, people with recommendations from doctors will be able to put this bill into action. Smoking the substance is still not allowed, but can be used through vaporization, edibles, or topical treatments. Well, there's always a lot of tech and science news happening around the world.
Here's Clayton Connor with the latest.
Thanks, guys. On Friday, the EPA gave approval to California's plan to phase out diesel trucks. This plan is part of the state's efforts to drastically cut its emissions and improve air quality in heavy traffic areas. California has some of the nation's worst air pollution, and transportation accounts for around 40% of its greenhouse gas emissions. The rule requires truck manufacturers to sell an increasing number of zero-emissions trucks over the next couple of decades. The EPA announced this morning they will be allocating funds to replace an estimated 9.2 million lead pipes in the U.S. This decision provides $3 billion to the EPA to fund this project. The goal is to prevent health crises like what we saw in Flint, Michigan. Lead exposure can happen when pipes erode, which causes the lead to get into drinking water. Lead can harm a child's development, which leads to learning behavior, speech, and hearing problems. The Department of Justice has sued Norfolk Southern over a toxic train derailment in Ohio 2 months ago. 38 cars derailed with some spilling hazardous materials. The federal lawsuit is asking the company to be held accountable through the Clean Water Act. The government is asking for over $64,000 per day for every violation and over $55,000 a day for civil penalties. This is in addition to the cost for cleanup. NASA plans to conduct its first mission to the moon in over 50 years. Yesterday, it selected the astronauts for Artemis II. NASA's Reed Wiseman, Christina Koch, and Victor Glover are joined by Jeremy Hansen from the Canadian Space Agency for the mission. Wiseman will serve as commander. Hansen will be the first Canadian to venture into deep space. Artemis II is expected to launch in November 2024 and will send the crew beyond the moon, potentially further than any human has been. That's all in tech news. Back to you, David and Katie.
In news around the nation, former President Trump has been indicted by a grand jury. The Manhattan District Attorney has been investigating Trump's connection to hush money dating back to the 2016 election. The indictment includes 34 counts related to the fraud. The former president has pleaded not guilty.
In other news, the death toll from recent storms across the U.S. has been climbing. 32 lives are now known to be lost from the tornadoes and storms that tore through the South and Midwest last week. The extent of the damage is still being assessed.
The Bureau of Economic Analysis reported on Friday that prices in February rose less than expected. Prices rose 0.3% compared to the predictions of the 0.4%. The annual inflation rate is now running at 5% compared to the previous 2 months of 5.3%. Chief economist Jeffrey Roach from LPL Financial predicts inflation will dip below 4% by the end of the year. However, some economists believe a recession will still happen.
In news around the world, Finland has officially entered NATO. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, both Finland and Sweden applied to join NATO, ending their historic military non-alignment. Sweden's acceptance into NATO is stalled because of objections from Turkey and Hungary. The ceremony for Finland's entrance took place today in Brussels. Pope Francis was discharged from the hospital over this weekend, just in time for Palm Sunday. The 86-year-old Pope had a 3-day hospital visit due to bronchitis, but was released on Saturday. He delivered Mass on Palm Sunday at St. Peter's Square in Rome in front of 60,000 people. Sports news is coming up next on Wildcat News.
Eli Hendricks will update us on NCAA basketball and UK gymnastics. We'll be right back.
Worried about your friend, but don't know how to reach out?
You could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR. It's all good if you think you should check in. Yeah, you should. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health.
Whatever gets you talking.
Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? I'm high. Oh.
Hi, I'm Eli Hendricks with your Wildcat Sports News. The Yukon Huskies defeated the San Diego State Aztecs last night in the men's NCAA Basketball National Championship. There were lots of celebrations after the Huskies won each of their tournament games by double digits and continued the trend last night. At the half, the Huskies had a 16-point lead over the Aztecs. That lead fell to 5 in the second half, but the Huskies held on. Junior center Adama Sanago won the tournament's most outstanding player with 17 points and 10 rebounds. The final score was 76-59, securing the Huskies' 5th ever title. In the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship, on Sunday, the LSU Tigers defeated the Iowa Hawkeyes 102 to 85. With 9.9 million viewers tuning in, LSU set the record number of points scored in a women's national title championship. The team was led by sophomore forward Angel Reese, who was the MVP of the game, scoring 23 points. This is LSU's first national championship title and head coach Kim Mulkey's 4th. And congratulations again to Transylvania University's women's basketball team for their first ever national title. Finally, Kentucky Gymnastics secured their spot to compete in nationals. Last weekend, the Cats placed at second at regionals in Norman, Oklahoma, with the second highest score in program history. This is only the second time ever in school history that the Cats will compete at the national championships, and first time since 2018. That's our Wildcat Sports News. We'll be right back with entertainment news.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
The family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter what you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
The annual watercolor art exhibit Aqua Venture is in Lexington. I went to see what they had on display. On display at the Lyric Theater, Gallery, and Museum. Their exhibit is open from 11 to 5 every weekday, and the work will be on display until the 27th of April. Aqua Venture is sponsored by the Kentucky Watercolor Society, and the works featured are selected from regional artists from Kentucky and states surrounding.
We have done it several years in a row around springtime. It's a partnership with the Kentucky Watercolor Society, and we hold this gallery in the Lyric Theater Cultural Arts Center to display various pieces of art. Usually we're wanting to display diverse cultures, but this one in particular is just all of the artists were Kentucky. Most of them are based in Kentucky, so it's kind of like getting the bluegrass perspective on art and watercolor specifically.
The first prize of Aqua Venture went to Dennis Albetsky from Lexington for his work refining. He received $500 for first place, and his work is on display and for sale at the gallery. Aqua Venture has been going on for 45 years, and all of the 40 pieces in the exhibit have been selected by the Kentucky Watercolor Society. The openings to submit to the 2024 gallery have not yet been announced, but in previous years, submissions have taken place around February.
A local coffee shop has been making strides in expansion and development after a recent relocation. Far Out Espresso, located on the corner of East High Street and Woodland Avenue, has been serving coffee and pastries to the people of Lexington since the beginning of the year. Although this particular location has only been open since January, Far Out Espresso has been previously in Georgetown, and it's been a staple for many years, operating from a food truck in a shopping center parking lot.
We've expanded in ways I didn't think we could, especially in such a short time. Really, what we're doing here right now is what we had planned to do in like 10 years. So this is really big. We did it in 3 months.
Of operation, Far Out Espresso added many new additions to their menu and shop, such as lunch and dinner meals, as well as an apothecary and gift shop. The coffee shop hopes to continue improving and expanding, as well as make the shop suitable for live music performances. Finally, tonight, the WWE and UFC have announced a partnership that will merge the two, creating one entertainment company.
The company will be worth $21.4 billion. The current UFC owner will control 51% of the shares, while the other WWE owner will have the other 49%.
Are you a big wrestling fan?
Honestly, no, I'm not. What about you?
Well, I definitely am, and WWE is going to be coming to Rupp Arena in June, and tickets go on sale on Friday, so you guys should check that out. But other than that, that's all that's all of your Wildcat news for today. Join us again tomorrow for more.
Thank you for joining us and have a great night.